She was only 13 years old when she was kidnapped and then murdered, and for the past 14 years, her parents have been left to wonder who could have killed their little girl.
Well, after all this time, police finally say they've got a suspect in custody. And what's even more surprising is what that suspect just told KPRC Local 2 investigative reporter Robert Arnold.
I mean, I'm terrified in here. I'm terrified of, where I'm at.
Nervous and on the verge of tears, Kevin Smith couldn't explain how 2 DNA tests linked him to the murder of 13-year-old Crystal Baker.
Man, I'm the nicest person in the world. I help people and I treat people right.
Baker disappeared from her Texas City neighborhood 14 years ago. Her body was later found under the Trinity River Bridge in Chambers County. Smith admitted to living in the Texas City area when Baker was murdered, but says he couldn't remember what happened.
Man, I stay up. I stay up. The days are long. I stay up all day thinking and thinking and thinking. Thinking and thinking and thinking, What happened, or what did I do?
Smith's last words to us were, "I'm not a violent man." But it was almost as if he was trying to convince himself of that more than convince us. Still, after our interview, Smith then met with community activist Quanell Alex in a private room, one-on-one, for about an hour.
There was a lot of tears shed in that meeting.
It was during that private meeting with Quanell Alex that a 14-year-old mystery was finally solved.
There was a lot he wanted to say. There was a lot he wanted to get off his chest. He did confess to the crime.
This is a once-in-a-career case.
Chambers County Sheriff Joe LaRive credits Quanell with getting this confession, saying Smith always insisted he was innocent when talking with investigators. District Attorney Cheryl Leek says Smith then wrote out his confession and gave investigators details only Baker's killer would know.
Of course, we didn't tell him everything that we had, so he did have corroborating evidence that answered some questions. That proves to us that it's not an empty confession. In other words, he knew the circumstances and he knew certain things that, of course, have not been released.
In exchange for this confession, Leek says she agreed not to seek the death penalty. In Chambers County, Robert Arnold, KPRC Local 2.
Well, it was a determined Chambers County Sheriff's detective who decided to rerun DNA evidence through a national database that linked Smith to this murder. Smith's DNA was entered into that national database after he was arrested on drug charges in Louisiana.